It really comes down to mindset, and that's the word that you use. So we spend a lot of time working on the conversations that people have with themselves, the thoughts that are in their heads. Because if you are not thinking the right thoughts, then you will not behave like the expert. And if you try to apply the training that we give to people, it's just not going to work. It's going to seem so weird when you're generally behaving like the vendor. You're being this polite, compliant rule follower in the sale, and then all of a sudden you start to use some of our techniques. It's just going to seem so incongruous to the client. You'll probably piss them off. So mindset is everything, and we have a framework for that. In fact, our clients have this recording that's about 3 minutes long of me in my most Zen-like voice going through this mantra that we call the Jedi mantra. It's just like they repeat it to themselves to get them into the proper headspace before they pick up the phone or go into the web meeting or go into the actual physical meeting. So I've just found over the years that if you don't start with mindset, you're not going to affect much behavioral change.
I love that. That is insanely cool that you do that, because I think it's absolutely critical, because it's like if you're in a sale, the amount of energy, your confidence, and your mindset, if you don't have that lined up and you're going into any situation, I even notice it with my dogs. We're trying to train them. Our dog counselor or coach, whatever, was saying, hey, you need to make sure energy and your physical presence is different, because they can read that. And same in the sale, right? If you're sheepishly going, hey, I think you should maybe look at this new model, they're just not going to buy in. So it starts with mindset, and then it's the amount of energy that you're able to kind of push through. Would you not agree that's going to help them buy into it? I find that when I was pitching clients creative, and if I could get myself where I'm like, I am so jazzed about this creative, even if the idea was just okay, the level of enthusiasm that was behind the idea was matched by their level of enthusiasm to accept it.
Yeah.
That was just my experience.
Yeah. And I'm holding in my hands, you can't see this because the audio medium, a pair of Win Without Pitching socks. It's got our logo on the ankles. And on the bottom of one sock, it says, I'm the expert. And the bottom of the second sock, it says, I am the prize. So we refer to these as confidence socks, because the first statement in our first part of our 4-statement mantra, the Jedi mantra, is I am the expert, I am the prize. It's just a reminder that I am the prize to be won in this relationship, because we tend, when we're selling, no matter what we're selling, we tend to think that the client is the prize to be won. We in the creative world, we call it winning new business, like winning, like it's a lottery. It's ridiculous. Why isn't the client winning the right to work with our firm? So mindset wise, you just recognize that you are a focused expert. You have this deep expertise. You have incredible ability to add often enormous amounts of value to people's lives and businesses. You need to value that yourself and recognize that you're an expert, and you are the prize as much as the client is. And if you don't see that, if you don't believe it, if you're not having that conversation with yourself before you open your mouth and say something to your prospective client in the sale, that's going to be communicated. They won't believe it either. The roles will be set. You will be relegated to vendor. So you really have to just stop and talk to yourself and say, listen, I have some deep expertise here that's of high value. I am the prize to win in this relationship.
That is some powerful training that you're putting out there. And if anyone that's listening, go back and replay what you just said, because I think that a lot of people underestimate the power of the words that they use, or the power of the industry norms and the words they use in those norm situations. And if you change those, they can change everything.
Everything in life is subjective, to the point where I'm not even convinced there's an objective external reality anymore. Everything is subjective. Right. So it all begins, we're just living stories, right? So somebody once said, your past, present, and future are just stories that you tell yourself. And you're going into a sale and you're going to tell a story. What's the story that you're telling yourself? And if in that story, if you're not the hero, if you're not the prize to be won, if you don't recognize the value that you contribute to other people, then that will be communicated. So yeah, it's all, when we didn't win the sale, when we look back on any type of failure, we tend to get more objective in our measures. We think, oh, well, this didn't happen here. I missed some steps here, etc. But really, I think we succeed based on the more subjective measures, and it begins with how we're feeling about ourselves, the conversations we're having with ourselves about us, and then it moves into the conversations that we have with others. And I think, that looking backwards and saying, "Well, we didn't do these things properly," etc. We try to measure things after the fact to make sense of things, but really, in the moment, it's just pure subjective experience that's really hard to measure.